That's why streamers have been winning.
That's why Speed is so successful. And I feel like it's my uncle because I watched him for years and I think he's entertaining.
This is one of the topics that interests me the most. The founders or even startups in the app world have no idea what they could be competing against.
There was a time I didn't have a smartphone for 10 months. I use my MacBook and I use a brick phone.
I think people get lost in the tactics, like foundations, goals. You want to get to a place where you're spending $5,000-$10,000 a day profitably. How do you get there? What do you do?
On mobile apps, it's different than e-commerce because they are like running crazy campaigns.
Volume is important, but it's not the only metric. Like you need more.
I actually learned from you how to write good hooks. I don't know if you remember. Your accent is hard.
Bro, my accent is Madeira. It's the worst.
I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that.
I understand. I get you. No, but you do it. Like Portuguese is good. You say your girlfriend is
Brazilian.
Portuguese? Oh, Brazilian.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends that were not speaking English a lot when I came here. And because it was like COVID, there was no tourism. So I got friends with the local and they learned me Portuguese and I learned them English a bit. And at one point we could communicate.
No, I get it. How'd you go about meeting people in Lisbon?
Just in the streets.
Really? Like you're just going out, obviously. Like I mean.
Yeah, I was here alone in the beginning, so
That's crazy. That's what
I was just. I was riding BMX for many years, so I was always part in with this scene, and then I just meet people there, and we became friends. We were a lot of, in Kaish, there's this big flat spot. It's this big plaza. There's just a flat area like next to the train station, and I used to hang out there a lot. And it was
people go skating there as well.
I was living in Airbnbs, and we did some parties in my house there back. And then that way I got introduced, and I'm still good friends with them until now.
Yeah, nice. So like you came in COVID. You said is like 2020 at this point.
21, 20 roughly.
What happened? Were you in Barcelona or Paris? You said.
No, I moved. I left the house of my parents when I was like 20, and then I went to Lisbon. No, I went to Barcelona for 2 weeks, and I went to Lisbon, and then COVID came, and I booked. It's like a long story, but I booked my flight back from Lisbon to Hamburg in the wrong month. Then I was forced to stay one more. I could have booked another flight, but I said, okay, then I'm going to stay one more month. And in this 1 month, I made like very good friends here, and then I just say, okay.
And since then, you've been around.
Yeah, I've been moving. I'm not registered here, so I'm moving around always.
Yeah, I get you.
I plan to go to Brazil in a bit, and then come back and go to Germany and come back. I like to spend summer in Germany also because I'm from Hamburg and it's very beautiful when it's warm.
Yeah.
But now it's like in the winter it's not too cozy,
I think not only Germany, but you have places like Germany, Switzerland. You have the Netherlands also, where it's like it's tough in the winter, but then summertime is actually cool. You have the parks and everyone's out.
It's very pretty. My best friend is from Amsterdam, and I was visiting him in December. And was still nice, but I don't know. I don't want to. It's like hard every day, gray sky, very cold.
Tough.
It's not too. I personally didn't like it. So Lisbon was a big difference, man.
Yeah, tough. How many years did you live in Hamburg before moving first
20.
time? Yeah, so your whole life, and then you moved.
Yeah. I kind of left the house of my parents, like moved out. When I was 18, I finished high school, and then I was working in a supermarket, and then I was. Taking the money I was making from putting soup cans in the thing to pay ads. and then it took like 14 months of making minus until I had my first green month. And then I could quit. And then shortly after I had the first green month, I started to travel and got stuck here kind of.
Okay, so talk to me. Walk me through a bit of that.
Yeah.
And I have a similar story with like doing like 8 months of cold outreach, trying to do something while I was doing TikToks to then land something. But then you said 14 months, you're like in the negative.
Yeah.
Were you working?
Yeah, I was working in a supermarket.
Okay. Well, was this back home?
Yeah, in Germany.
Okay.
It was like a student job. I made 450 euros a month. And I was working with my partner, and he was also making 450 a month. And we were doing drop shipping back then. And we were just burning money, but we were learning a lot, trying to launch a store, not making it work, launching a store, not making it work. And then one moment after another, like we got a recommendation for a winning product from a friend because his store got sent offline, but the product was working very well. And then we tested this product and it exploded. Like it was like really crazy overnight success that took 14 months,
Yeah, and I think with if you start in ecom or dropshipping, anything physical products,
Yeah.
it's like gives you a very good foundation for marketing.
Very good. Yeah, I feel like right now I'm speaking a lot to my old ecom friends. I went like every 2-3 days. I go on calls with the ecom guys, and I just learn a lot from them because they're so cracked at like media buying, ads, creatives, copywriting, and I implement this angle into apps, and it's working well.
Why do you think though that is of like when you're doing ecom?
Yeah, I think it's a very simple explanation. Like imagine you are at home and you cannot sleep because you have back pain, and I give you a solution, like, and the result of the solution is that you don't have the back pain anymore. Like, you wouldn't care what the solution is, right? It can be an app that helps you to stretch, like Band is doing. They are like running crazy campaigns, or there's this posture thing that you strap on, and then you are like the end customer couldn't care less what is it physical, digital. It's just about figuring out who is aware of the problem and not of the solution, and then showing in the right moment and building a purchase intent. So it really doesn't matter in the end of the day if it's physical or digital.
Yeah. Do you find that it's harder though to like monetize or convert or just promote the physical product stores than it is the apps?
No, I don't think it's a big difference in the end. Like if you run ads, you create copy and make people convert. Maybe digital is a bit more complex because the average order value in the beginning, like the initial purchase, is lower. There's not a lot of, like, for example, Reframe, I think they are optimizing against $100 yearly, which is they're killing it also with web to app. From looking at the outside, but I think it's very similar,
Yeah.
Wait.
You're good.
But yeah, like e-commerce has higher initial purchase, but also I feel like there's higher CPM. So this is kind of.
I think it's more commoditized as well as a product. So because you have more competition as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But now the same thing is happening in the app world.
Yeah. I think it's gonna become very different. I think a lot of e-commerce people are entering the app world. It's going a lot of e-com guys doing, like, instead of drop shipping, like branded campaigns where it's like with a 3PL where they have an infrastructure of very quickly going from testing with dropshipping and then going into building their own branding. So they have the skill set of running ads and building brands, and they just see the potential on apps. There's no fulfillment anymore, but it's the same, right? You have a problem, you have a solution, and you build a brand around it, and then you try to get as many people that are problem aware but on solution aware, and just scale up with eggs.
I was going to ask you because I think many of the founders or even startups in the app world have no idea what they could be competing against if these people from the direct to consumer world come in to the app world.
It's true. It's gonna become more competitive for sure. Like, I'm not gonna be the one who, like, I'm not trying to, like, when I post on Twitter, I'm not trying to make too much e-com noise because I don't think it's gonna be a good thing, but it's gonna happen sooner or later. I have, like, a lot of my e-com friends reaching now out and asking about the app stuff, and I think it's gonna become more competitive for sure. Like, I tweeted about this like years ago. Like, I said, I wonder the day when launching apps is going to become as easy as building Shopify stores, and this is kind of happening right now, right? So
you see, like, Replit, Rourke, you have all these now products, where it makes it so easy, and it's lowering the barrier of entry. And I was going to ask you as well about even big content creators, big influencers. I mean, that wave happened in the e-commerce world where these people with audiences built something around, like a brand, like a clothing brand, or like a
100%. Like in Germany, there's a very, very good case of it's like two influencers, InScope and Tim Gabel. They have an app. Let me remember, what's the name? I think MGI. You're gonna figure out when you look for the app of them. I think it's like 3 letters starting with an M, and they are doing phenomenal. It's like a fitness guy and a comedy guy that was also into fitness, and they took a long time to develop this really good product. It's like a AI fitness coach that makes very personalized content in app, and they are doing very, very well. Have very high average revenue per user if you look on Sensor Tower, and this is happening over and over and over again. In Germany, there was another famous case of an app called Save It, where a nice content creator. I like his content. His name is Dave. He was making like a Fortnite, Fortnite creator code, right? He made this for influencers in real life. So you had a creator code for affiliate marketing, basically, and this blew up also overnight, and a lot of people were using it. I don't know how they're doing now, but in this launch phase, they're doing very good.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of these. Just as a foundational concept, the same thing is happening, which is, again, it's becoming easier to build apps. So that means also that, the people that are coming into the app world, are definitely going to bring some interesting competition. I think that's something, founders and whatever, startups should be aware of. That, yeah.
I think it's good for the consumer in the end, because there's going to be less room for a bad product, and the good product is going to win. And it's not... Maybe as a founder, it's not the best if there's a lot more competition, but then you just need to become better at product, right? It's the same with Ecom back in the days. Like when we started, we used just creative is something that you are very, very good in, right? So it's not so acceptable anymore to have bad creative like it was years ago, right? Years ago, it was a lot easier to go viral on TikTok with very, very, very different content. You could post anything and it would get some views because the demand for content was a lot higher than the supply. I think it's still the case that the demand for content is higher than the supply, but it's gonna shift a little bit, especially with AI and Sora and all of the stuff. I spoke to a guy, and he made a good example where he was saying that the reason why there are so many split screen videos going viral of like reused clips where it's like, I don't know, Mr. Beast talking, and in the second half it's a GTA video, is a good example of how the supply for content is higher than demand. Like I catch myself sometimes re-watching the same clip that I saw already, but there's a GTA video in the second half, and this, like, I brain rot, I doom scroll every day like 2-3 hours, and I don't care if I see the same video again,
I think that's one interesting concept. It's like, I think people that start creating content think that they're creating content that people are going to be interested in, like looking for. And what ends up happening is like you have TikTok and Reels and Shorts, where it's like, this is just, kind of a repository of, consciousness. People are just scrolling. They don't even know why they're watching what they're watching. It's like maybe you're watching the same video for the 5th time.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's
matter.
True. I had this moment of clarity where I realized, like, what am I doing here? When I was speaking to my friend, he's also working in the industry of content, and I asked, and I know he was watching a lot of TikTok himself, and I asked him, like, name me your top 3 trending audios, and we were sitting and we were thinking, like, but we were both doom scrolling a lot, and we couldn't really name the top 3 ones, which was a bit scary, we were supposed to know what is going on, but we couldn't name them. It was like, are we that unconscious about it,
That's a bit what happens, I think, with scrolling. But with content, I think one side of what's happening now in the app world is that the barrier of entry is just lower. So there's going to be a lot of people coming in. In fact, it's already happening. And then I think another side that's now, one thing I want to ask you is, on the organic and paid side, that's also going to bring, this thing of lowering the barrier of entry is also going to increase the complexity needed for distribution. So you're going to need better distribution.
Yeah, I think you don't need better distribution in terms of media buying itself. Media buying is becoming easier and easier and easier. Like when I think back of, I don't know, man, 2019, 18, we were doing stuff like very detailed interest stack of like single interest of very unsaturated audiences. For like, I never sold fake AirPods or some digital products or anything fake, but there's this famous example where this guy was scaling fake AirPods very high. And he was making single interest with stores like Walmart, for example, because Walmart is a place where people buy cheap alternatives. And the other people were scaling this product over interest like Apple. But he took Walmart, and then he had this audience that was converting on the product very well with this unsaturated interest, right? This was how media buying worked a few years ago with finding I sold a product for like home modeling, for example, in the DIY space, and I used interest. My grandma had like on her toilet this magazines where it was like about home improvement and gardening, and we put literally the names of the magazine as interest in Germany in, and they were printing because it was very unsaturated audience that you reach through the interest stack. But nowadays, this doesn't work anymore. It's not so complex to run the campaigns. You know how to scale, you know how to downscale and this stuff, but it's not about the campaign structure anymore. It's only creative, especially that Andromeda came out like 2-3 months ago. it doesn't matter too much. A bad campaign structure and good creatives will 1,000,000% outrun a good campaign structure and bad creatives. I would even say like the campaign structure is not that relevant, you know.
And I think, yeah, what you said makes sense. It just became easier also. I mean, Meta and TikTok, they've all worked very hard to make it as easy as possible to, to have, you know, companies and people spend money there. But yeah, on the other side, it's like, I do think the complexity for distribution is increasing, meaning like the system and the quality, meaning, you know, how effective the creative is. And I think for that you need more volume. How are you seeing campaigns now? Like, what's happening in the ads world?
Yeah, a lot more volume for sure. Like there's a tool there where you can see a graph of I forgot the name of the tool, but you can see how many ads are launched, like I think weekly or daily. And in all the big brands, if you go in the ad library, you're going to see like a very big curve going up, because it's just volume is key. You need to have a lot more creative nowadays than back in the days, you know. It's different, the volume game. And you need to be careful also with volume, because you need to find the perfect sweet spot between high output and high quality, and not make too much volume and then let the quality suffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Tell me, so Mark, maybe now, like, just, you know, to give a bit of context, walk me through a bit of what you're doing. What are you doing right now? I know, you know.
Like, I'm running ads for apps. Like, I'm gonna tell you how you know, some insights, some go-to-market strategies and stuff. So I don't think it's so good to drop the names, because it's going to eventually come negatively back to me, you know. Yeah,
no, you're good. But in terms of
what I'm doing on a day-to-day is I write copy that is going to be used from creators to. I do the market research. I write copy. I lead the creators, and then I take the content and either I give it an editor to turn it into something better, or I directly launch it in the ads manager, and then I take care of the spend being used in the most meaningful way. So eventually, like, my job is kind of a creative director more than purely media buying itself.
How many brands are you working with? Just overall, do you know?
Yeah, I have 2 campaigns right now.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I used to be more spread around, but I think that's not a good idea. I learned the hard way that like a boutique approach is 1,000,000% better than making something here, something there, something here. It's just not going to work out.
I mean, you've done great campaigns. Your track record doesn't lie there. So from the last time we spoke, I think we spoke when? A year and a half, 2 years ago?
No, I think our podcast was half a year ago, the first episode.
I think it was more.
Really?
I think it was like, because I was looking on YouTube, and I think it was like
maybe a year.
Yeah,
Can
a
be
year and a half. More
maybe
or less.
You're right.
Well, yeah, I mean,
crazy.
Insane. I was gonna ask you from there till now.
Yeah.
How much has changed? Especially like.
So I can say what changed. What I said back then, I think everything is true. But what is more important, even like especially with Andromeda coming in from Meta, the update, like, to make it very short, Andromeda was basically they exchanged kind of the brain from Meta, and they are working, I think, with NVIDIA to have like a new algorithm that leverages AI better to do a lot more, analyzing the creatives. If I'm wrong, you know,
So the algorithm on the ads is more centered on AI.
Yeah, it's more centered towards AI, and the AI is getting better. Like 1.5 years ago to now, you know that the AI is changing a lot. It's growing super quick, and so the algorithm is. And now, more than ever, creatives are the most important thing. You know, the AI gets better at reading the creatives and then throwing it the right audience. So you can imagine something that I like to do is I actually learned from you how to write good hooks. I don't know if you remember, but you did like a consulting for me once, where you were teaching me like this foreshadowing hook, starting with what you mean.
Nice.
And I tried this, and it worked pretty well.
Nice, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
I didn't know, bro.
We were
this
after
was for slideshows, I think.
Yes.
That's crazy.
But I applied this copywriting structure also in video ads, where it was like foreshadowing. It was, you told me this hook. What do you mean? I need to work 30 hours a week while my boyfriend pays rent for both of us doing this.
Yeah,
you know,
nice.
this was like a very good hook structure, because it was problem, solution, but foreshadowing, so it builds
Yeah.
retention. And I applied this and it working well.
Yeah, I think talking head. If the creator is good, telling a story,
Yeah.
that works very well.
Yeah, that works very well. And then combining this with a good editor also that can like leverage the
ads, yeah.
visual thing. I think like editors and creators are equally important. So I work now with a Brazilian guy. Shout outs to him if you see this. He's a very nice guy. And yeah, it's just when you have content. I consulted my friend one day, and he had very good content. And for example, the one video went viral and the other didn't. And I said like try to re-edit all of the content, make a like a montage out of it, kind of. And then he went viral over and over multiple times again with the same content. So you can just leverage a good editor. Can leverage the content library that you have in such an amazing way.
Yeah.
Also with AI voiceovers, I feel like the best AI voiceovers are like clones of voices, and not 11 Labs choosing a character, but going in, cloning a specific voice of a creator, and then you can take the content that you have and cut it, edit it in multiple ways, and turn it into a whole different creative without needing a creator, just by leveraging AI through voice cloning and then editors through telling a different story, and then you can test a lot more creatives in a very short period of time.
I think a lot of people were talking about, just to go back on the Andromeda update.
Yeah.
And like anything, I think you see some people on one side saying, hey, this is not that big of a deal, this is not changing that much, and people on the other side saying, hey, this is a complete game changer. And I don't know if it's one or the other, or somewhere in the middle.
I think it depends a little bit on what your viewpoint is, right? If you were like, I wouldn't focus too much on what changed or how it changed, but it's just the fact that the creative is more important than ever, and you need a higher variety of creatives coming in. So, and if you had like what is very popular is like one campaign, so you have like one big CBO where all the creatives coming in, and then you just let this run. You know, I wouldn't complicate it. I saw many big ad accounts where we have just one single campaign, you know, one CBO, and this is the go-to market. I spoke with my e-commerce friends, and they all said to me the same, like one big CBO, and there you pump in creatives.
What's CBO?
A campaign budget optimization.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So you have you can either have it on the ad set or on the campaign. On the ad set, it's better if you like this. This is also, you know, preference, but either you test in a CBO directly, but often creatives don't get a lot of spend in there, especially when you launch new creatives. Then one party says they don't deserve, and if they don't deserve, you know, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And on the other side, sometimes it's like a mistake. I learned this also from a big media buyer. He said to me like 20 times, like, stop being emotionally attached to the content that you create. Like, you want to produce more profits for the campaigns that you're working on. So, you know, stop being upset that your favorite creatives don't work. But sometimes I still, like, if I launch it in a CBO, for example, and I see that a certain creative doesn't get spent and I have an intuition that it works, I like to test it on the ABO, because there you can give it better a dedicated budget for a specific ad set. You can also give dedicated budget on the ads in the CBO, but then it's more the whole batch rather than one specific one.
What you said there is great. The being emotionally attached to creative, that same thing happens with organic.
Yeah.
You wouldn't imagine like the amount of times we have to put that point across. I've never thought about it like that, but I think this is a great way. I like being emotionally attached to an idea, to a creative, to someone. Because I met someone who was spending multiple 6 figures a month in ads, and their best performing creative was a fade-in meme.
Yeah, man. I saw this. There's some fitness apps that are killing it right now with fade-in memes.
Liftoff is one of them, no?
Yeah, Liftoff. I saw Liftoff had some very nice fade-in meme creatives. They're doing great there.
They were crushing with organic as well, with like faceless style.
Yeah, nice. With this, I was consulting a guy the other day, and he was launching 30 creatives, and 29 were videos, and one was
static.
Yeah, one was a static, and the static took all the budget. You know?
No.
And it, in the end, like, who cares? The static was the thing that converted it was crazy difference. Like the campaign is very fresh, so I was checking the top of funnel metrics in the first day, and it was like, I don't know, 80 cent compared to 5 cent cost per click, like very, very, very big difference.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think one thing there, this is probably a more out of the box insight, but I think that on one side, people are very attached to what creatives they want to do and the kind of structure they envision for a given campaign, whether it isn't paid or organic.
Yeah.
And I think provided that they have done the work to hire the right person, they would be much better off to just not touch anything related to creative. But then there's the whole risk of 9 out of 10 times they don't hire the right person. It's very tough to get the right person. So like the risk to reward ratio is something that's tough there.
Yeah, finding the right creator is very hard. You know, you need to. What I like to do is, you just get a bunch, and one of them is gonna work, like 1 out of 10 maybe, and then you just keep taking the one that is working. And it's you working a lot more than me with real people and creators, so you probably know that it's not only about the delivery of the content itself, but also the surrounding, right? How
Yeah,
fast do they
100%.
answer? Are they reliable?
100%.
know.
We have superstars in content. You know, everything that they touch is gold, but we can't put them on campaigns because it's unreliable.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to ask you. This is my most selfish question of
Yeah.
all. So I have a lot of cases
Yeah.
where we have a campaign going viral,
Yeah.
right? Going super viral. Some of them going insane. Now, the thing that happens most of the time is a lot of the time you get the kind of conversion gets almost saturated. So the conversion rate goes really down, like
Yeah.
after you get to a certain point of a certain level of views. And I always have to have almost this conversation with people we're working with about, you know, convincing them into going into Spark ads, just saying, hey guys, look, like you need to do it.
Yeah.
I want to hear you out. We've talked about this in detail last time. I want to hear you out and where you stand right now about, imagine you're someone who's crushing it organically.
Yeah.
Why Spark ads? Why not? Like,
Okay.
or even Meta, like
Yeah.
just taking it to ads.
Yeah. I feel like, what is the risk reward? You were speaking risk reward before. Like, what are we speaking about here, right? Is if you can add, I don't know, 50K MMR on an organic campaign to a client, and you take $1,000 and test them on ads, and maybe you can double the whole the performance of the campaign. Do you think a client would be worth losing $1,000 to maybe hitting this gold mine?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like if you really think there's potential and the client doesn't see it, take your own money and, you know, say
Yeah.
to them, we can run a small test and then make a data-driven decision. And you will never know if it works or not. Like, me looking at the creative is it's not worthless, but I don't get anything from saying this could work. I'd rather spend $5, $10 on an ad and have data and then can make a data-driven decision than guessing could it work? And so for you and the campaigns that you're working on and the clients that don't necessarily want to launch ads, you need to try to figure out
Just
why.
force them. Say, hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put my own budget here.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you could get very, very good data on a low budget, there is no real
There's no real
conversation.
risk. Yeah. But touching on that, why do you think? Because we know.
Yeah.
So if you get if you're crushing it organically, most likely you'll crush it on paid.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Because the video, like, first things first, there is not a guarantee, right? And I often see I had like a campaigns where I had a video with 5 million views, and I tested it against one with 200 views, and the 200 one was ripping. It was printing on paid, but just not organic, and the 5 million was absolutely not converting. So there's no guarantee. However, if a video can get conversions organically, it means two things. Number one, it has retention, because otherwise it wouldn't go viral. And number two, it is product focused. Like, if you have a video that goes viral, especially with like the hook, like the hook demo, but without the demo, and it's just selling in the comments, I don't think this is working very well on ads. Like, I never use that. But if you have hook demo and the video has retention, it is converting.
Yeah, it's no brainer.
Especially, like, imagine I post this piece of content. This video gets 2 million views and 4,000 installs, and I assume from this 4,000 installs you should make some money. Like, let's say the app is not super conversion rate optimized, and you make a few $100. Why you don't take 50 euros and just put it into ads? You know, like, you. If you feel like think of like trading, you're like so much, like, you are so high, and you can set like a very, very high stop loss. So like, what do? You go viral with a video, take 10% and throw it into ads.
Yeah.
Like, how greedy can you be to not be willing to risk 10% of the money that you made through this creative to maybe double your profits? You know.
Let's imagine, Mark, you're not like okay, you're going viral, but let's imagine
Yeah.
it's not converting.
Yeah.
But you have good creatives, but it's just not yet converting. But you
Yeah.
hit, a few videos that are way above threshold. Do you still test them on paid? Do you think it's worthless
Man.
because they don't have the conversion mechanism? Because I know you can do like
Yeah.
direct install campaigns.
Yeah, I would. It depends, but I would probably go direct to purchase and not even test install, because it depends what you want, right? If you are
No, it's ultimately obvious.
if you want profits, go to purchase directly. If you have like, let's say 500 creatives, I would maybe test on install first and then take the top creatives into purchase, just because you get a more reliable like running five. I don't know, it depends a little bit on the case scenario, right? However, what was the question again?
No, yeah, if you're not converting, if you have, like you were saying, hey, if you have a hook and demo,
Okay, if you have a creative that is going viral but not converting, I would say kind of the same answer as if it would be converting.
yeah,
Put it on ads and look at the data. You know, you
Yeah.
can make very, like, I learned the hard way that me trying to predict what is working is most of the case wrong, and it's kind of worthless. Like if I have a campaign, or like if I would work with you, for example, on a campaign, and you tell me, hey Mark, there's this app, we made 500 videos and 10 went over 1 million views, for example, I would say to you that we should probably test all of them on ads, and then let's look at the data and see what is working. So if it's converting or if it doesn't convert, I would say in both cases, let's test it on ads.
yeah, Mark, and this is where I think a lot of people will get value. So I agree to 100%. Now, my other question we get a lot, and I just wanted on record here for everyone to say, how much do you need? Let's say you have a few videos going viral.
Yeah.
Let's say they're not going super viral, they're like at 200K views.
Yeah.
And how much realistically do you need
Yeah.
to know, to have data, to have enough data to know, hey, this is worth it?
Yeah, so there's 3 stages, I would say. Number 1 is that you launch an ad and it looks horrible. Number 2 is it performs mid, and number 3 it's performing well. If your goal is, for example, a $1 CPI, and you test it and you see a 10% click-through rate and $1 cost per click, you can kill it after 24 hours. It's just not gonna perform, If it's performing mid and you say you have a CPI goal of, for example, $1, and is that I don't know, it's a bit over it, and the click-through rate is at like 0.7%, you can let it run 3-4 days and then make a decision. And if it's working, if it's printing and the top of funnel data looks promising, you anyways not going to turn it off, right? So you can use like low budgets to get an estimate and then let it run for a day or two and just look at the data and then make these 3 decisions. If it's bad, kill it. The optimization is not going to happen just from volume of budget. If it's a bad creative, it's a bad creative. If it's performing mid, let it run a little bit longer. And if it's performing well, anyways, don't kill it.
Yeah. Okay, there's a few things, and pretend I know nothing about this.
Yeah.
First is, do you adjust how much budget you put in depending on how many creatives you have?
Not really. I like to test on, like, I saw this post yesterday from one of the guys from Reflectly, and he said that they were testing hundreds of creators with like $5 to $10 per ad set, and in the end of the day, low money budget is going to give you a realistic introduction of how the creative will perform. So,
I think last time we were talking about something, I don't remember how much it was. I think it was around the $500 mark to like properly test and get some data back.
If you have a volume of creatives, yes. So, but right now I launch a batch of creatives in the ABO, and it's maybe per ad set 5, 10, 15 creatives, and then I let them run on like around $100 per day. And then if it's good, you can also do less. You can do 50 theoretically. I wouldn't
across the whole group.
Across like 5 to 15 creatives roughly. You can do like $50, $100, let it run 1 to 3 days, and then look at the data, and you can make a small budget decision and see. And then if it's performing, I have normally what I do, and this is, what I do. Some people have only CBOs. I like to have a ABO to test, and then I graduate them into the CBO and the scaling campaign. So you can let them run from like $50 to $150, 5 to 10 creatives, 1 to 3 days, and if the performance is good, I take them and I take the post ID and I graduate them into the CBO that is scaling, and it is on whatever you are comfortable with. For some apps it's $1,000 a day, for other it's 50,000 a day. Whatever, I don't know. It depends a bit on the time of the year, the app, the season, whatever it might be. But I like to have a graduation phase because you don't.
That makes sense.
Realistically, the bad creators anyway is not going to get spent. But if you have a high frequency, I just like to throw the winning ones into the CBO. But I also have friends that don't do this. They throw everything in the CBO. Also, on mobile apps, it's different than in e-commerce because if I'm correct, you can have only, I think, five ad sets per campaign in the CBO, and in e-commerce you can have unlimited. So it makes even more sense in apps to first test on a lower budget ABO campaign and then graduate them into the CBO because there's just a limit a bit.
Okay, and now this is where it gets interesting. So we have creatives that are working, we put a bit of budget behind them, then we have the data that basically segments them into bad, average, or mid, and good, right? What is the data? I'm sure there are like 3 or 4 indicators that are the indicators.
The KPI is completely based on your product. The best KPI is going to be pure performance. So but you can look at other KPIs like click-through rate or hook rate or cost per click or CPM, but I like to look at the CAC. So if I have an average revenue per paying user of $30 and my CAC is at $30, I don't know, even at break even, maybe I would put it in the scaling campaign, but if we are sitting at $50 cost per purchase, I wouldn't necessarily put it in the scaling campaign. Or, to be honest, if it gets some purchases in the initial test phase, I normally graduate it and put it into the scaling campaign. But if you spend, for example, you have a batch of creatives, okay? Imagine you have a ad set with 10 creatives in there. You spend over a period of 3 days, you spend, let's say, €200 or dollar, and you make 0 purchase. I wouldn't graduate them into the scaling campaign. So the KPI, if it's good or bad, should be in the initial testing phase, it should be if there is some indicator of revenue. However, in the CBO, in the scaling CBO, it's also different because there I don't really turn creatives on or off in the scaling CBO because there's just going to be the case where sometimes Meta is going to show your creative to a certain people and they're not going to convert on this creative but on the other one. So they are like working in a team and it's going to look like this one creative is not working, but Meta gives it budget and the other one is ripping. I would not turn off the creative that gets spent without conversions because it's probably supporting the other creatives and the algorithm become very good at not giving budget to creatives that are not working. For example, I had one campaign where it was spending like $100 to $200 a day on a certain creative and it was not converting at all, but the other ones were converting very well. I turned this one off and the others had a negative impact on it, So I don't really turn them off and on in the CBO, but in testing it's different.
I think so. Essentially, what I'm hearing as someone who knows very little on the ad side is essentially if you're doing any type of optimization, don't mess with it because the algorithm knows what it's doing better than you. And on the other side, I think from what I'm getting, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's almost like a hierarchy or an order of KPIs. So for example, you can have a horrible CPM, but if your CAC is still good compared to your average revenue per user, that can scale.
Yeah, 100%. Right? Like I don't care. The other day I spoke with somebody and he asked me, he really wanted to know from me the KPI for the CPI. And I was working 10 hours on a campaign, writing copy, reading scripts, and I did not know what was the CPI on this campaign because I really don't care. I don't really look at how much are we paying per user because I know that in the end, the bottom of the funnel, it was working very well. So, what I don't really get something from looking too much at the top of funnel data. Like I look at money in, money out, and not really too much what is happening. I don't know what is the average CPM or the CT. Of course, I know it's between $3 and $6 very often in apps, and the cost per click is normally anywhere between, I don't know, even 10 to 50 cents, let's say, and the CTR is maybe a good CTR is 3%, and a bad one is 0.5%. But in the end, if I pay 60 cents for a click and I have a $7 CPM and I have a 0.1 click-through rate and I have a a CAC for $10. What do I care about top of funnel?
I'm laughing because I saw this meme. I think it was Owen that told me. I was speaking to Owen the other day, and he was telling me, "Yeah, man, I think we've gone through this stage where like, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but essentially like, the Chad marketer nowadays is just like." Volume, money in, money out. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like that's essentially it.
Yeah, it's true because everything else is noise.
Yeah.
You can make a nice screenshot of here's my top of funnel data, but what do you get from doing this?
Yeah. No, I agree, Mark. Okay, let me ask you another thing on this topic because I think this is interesting. How do you define what to do when you have which platforms to bet on? So let me rephrase this well. Obviously, and again, this is a selfish question, but obviously, like you have all these apps now doing UGC, especially like more the bootstrapped apps.
Yeah.
Even some enterprise now starting doing UGC. I think I saw the North Face, which is physical and I have some jackets. I love it. But,
me too.
But they're doing UGC.
Yeah.
So like anyway, all these people now doing UGC. So most of this kind of consumer consciousness is on TikTok.
Yeah.
How do you decide how much budget you put on Spark versus Meta, for example?
Data. You just test both.
Split?
Yeah, you just test both and see what is working better. It's I would, if you ask me what I would prefer, I would say test both. And after some tests, if you test both, you're gonna know, and you're gonna look at the data, and you're gonna see, oh, this is working better, or this is working better. It's the same. This is the same as if you need to detach from it, kind of the same with when you test creatives. You test 100 creatives, and 10 of them work, and then you produce more than the 10 that is working. It's the same with Meta and TikTok. You test both, and for some apps, Meta is going to work. For some, TikTok is going to work. Test both, see where you're making better money, and then scale that one.
I know you speak to a lot of very good marketers, and yourself, you're a very good marketer.
Thank you.
Don't you find that the more experienced the person is, the kind of less direct answers they have for like questions like this?
It's because you can never know, you just need to test it and make a data-driven decision. I feel like the more there is like something, there's this graph, I don't know how the name was, but
I know the meme you're talking about.
it's like you get this confident, you learn something new and you get confident, you think you're an expert,
super technical,
and then all of a sudden you realize the more you know, you realize the less you know, and then you break down, and then you get humbled. And I got humbled very hard because I was only running Meta for like years. Then TikTok came out and I had problems with Meta, so I was like, I go away from Meta, I only focused on TikTok. And then I went back to Meta and I realized, oh my God, like I was, so arrogant of not utilizing Meta more, because if I would have stayed with Meta and leveraged TikTok, I would have so much more experience, revenue, knowledge, just because I made this decision of not like being emotionally attached, because I felt I had a hard time with Meta and I said I go away. But if I would have stayed, I would have been better now. So don't do this mistake of being emotionally attached and trying to only leverage one. Do both. Look at the data and make data-driven decisions.
Yeah, I have two questions for you. So maybe one insight to piggyback on what you just said, which is I fully agree. And I think you can't really, if you've been around long enough, you cannot really give direct answers because you've seen so much in such polar opposites of the sphere, because it's just like you can't predict it. We've seen at some point we were considering, we post on all platforms organically.
Yeah.
And it's the whole thing about being a system. And at one point we were like, TikTok's just crushing every campaign. And like the other platforms like take so long. And we're like, okay, man, let's just, cut the other platforms. And then we never did that. We just continued. And now, like, bro, I swear, you never know which platform is going to be the kind of champion for a given app. You see Snapchat pulling like millions of views for like random social apps, and I'm like, yo, what is happening? Yeah. So that's the answer. The question I had for you is,
I have one question there for you. YouTube is doing well for you now, right?
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Shorts.
Yeah, YouTube Shorts. It's crazy.
And I don't know why. I have a theory. Mm-hmm. I think what's been happening is when TikTok came out, for the first time ever, you saw this thing where anyone without an audience could go and gather millions of impressions, a lot of attention,
Yeah.
without having an audience. So it was the first time ever we saw a shift from a spokesperson, like someone speaking to an audience, to like the audience almost speaking to itself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I think changed. And then I think because of that, the natural consequence was regular people, everyday people like me and you, started thinking, oh, I can make content.
Yeah.
I don't need to be an influencer that takes pretty pictures. I
Yeah.
can just make content. And they went on the platform, they made content. And that gave TikTok a huge edge because everyone is going on TikTok.
Yeah.
And the best content wins, not the biggest page.
Yeah.
And that's insane because what that means is, like we were saying, with more competition even for the app side, same thing on TikTok, with more competition on the content side, it's much better for the user because the best content wins.
Yeah.
So
I
your
agree.
For You page is much better.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
So I think from there, all the other platforms started seeing that, and like TikTok just ripped when
Yeah.
it came to new user acquisition, and they're like, okay, we need to do the same.
Yeah.
So now it's been this kind of,
Twitter is even going there now with short
It
form
is,
content
it is.
going very viral.
and I think every platform is going to go there, because I think it's going to shift after, but I think it's just a natural way of consumption for
Yeah.
us.
What do you think is going to happen? You are like super deep in the short form game, right?
Too deep.
Yeah, too deep. What happens after short form content? Are we going to go to 1 second videos and then, or like what is going to happen after?
That's a great question. I don't know. And by the way, like, as this thing grows as well, I know in a few months, people are going to be clipping this saying we change our minds. So,
Yeah.
but I do change my mind quite often because everything is happening at the same time. What I think will happen is, and I told this to Owen as well last time we spoke, what I think will happen is right now you have this short form content. And
Yeah.
the whole thing around it is, one, people want to know the message quick. They want to get to the conclusion fast, right? And two, even on entertainment, they also want to get to the point quick. It's like, okay, who can give me the quickest, best dopamine, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get to the extreme of that, which is the clipping, so recycling the same content over and over
Yeah.
and over. And then with AI generated, it's going to become easier and better as well. So I think from there, two things happen. One is like whoever's the most human or can prove they're human wins, right?
Yeah,
It's
true.
like,
Yeah.
because you want to hear from other people.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, because of that, I think long form, live, interactive content wins
Yeah.
because it's the most human. If you think
Yeah.
about it, it's like
It's
you
true.
can't edit a live stream.
Yeah.
Like you're not editing, like you're just raw. And that's like if you go to the extreme of what people will want in terms of human interaction, that's it. They want to see other humans start like them.
Yeah.
That's why streamers have been winning,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
That's why Speed is so successful, right? He's touring the world, and everywhere he goes, there is like crazy crowds of hundreds and thousands of people coming into him
pe-
because it's real and
We're
it's
lacking
real
it.
people.
We
Yeah.
socially, we're deprived, more deprived than we were,
Yeah,
I think, because of social media and we're on our phones and
yeah,
all of that. So I think that's one thing. And then the second thing is like people almost feel like they know him
yeah.
because there's so much contact on socials. Like if you watch one of these streams, how long are they? Like 4-6 hours? Like
Yeah.
some more.
I don't know. I don't watch.
You
but
almost create a
4 6 hours.
relationship with these guys, like
100
virtually.
like 1,000,000%. I watch this guy, this German YouTuber Montana Black, and I watch him since I'm 13, 14, and I feel like I know him. You know, it feels like I know this guy. He's also from like around Hamburg, and I feel like it's my uncle because
Yeah,
I
no.
watched him for years, and I think he's entertaining, and it's crazy. I think something that you spoke like about that we are too much on our phones, something interesting. You know that there was the blackout last year in Portugal and Spain. Man, this was crazy because first it was panic for like 2-3 hours because nothing worked anymore. But then there was this moment where everybody started to go outside and there was like everybody was socializing because no internet, no connection. Everybody needed to know what is going on. So it was a really nice experience because all of a sudden it was gone. No more doom scrolling. You know?
This is one of the things, one of the topics that interests me the most. Give me one second. Let me just get water.
Yeah.
I see it where.
I also need one.
Yeah, it's all good. I'll just put it in here.
Thank you.
Tá feito. Fica melhor com o cenário.
Obrigado.
I was saying, this is one of the topics that interests me the most because I think a lot of the digital solutions and the brands we're going to see, as we're seeing already, are brands that solve that problem. The problem of let's get out of social media. Let's block our phone. Let's do this. What do you think about that?
I think that's amazing. I think there's a lot of good products out there, and I think there's going to be more in the future because the given, this people gonna go to. There was a time I didn't have a smartphone for 10 months. I use my MacBook and I use a brick phone, like a trap
Oh, that's
phone.
crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
My co-founder was talking about us buying.
Yeah,
Brick.
I did it. Not brick, not the. I
saying.
like a trap phone where you have.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But I just remember the break.
Yeah, this was a good experience.
I was going to ask you something, and I just remembered this because of what you were saying about campaigns. So there's a lot happening in the ad world. There's a lot happening in the organic world. I think people get lost in the tactics. I think people get lost in the what's the new hack, the new trick, and they forget the big picture of, hey, this is it. This is like foundations, goals. That's the only two things that matter. Now, I want to ask you, are you seeing a correlation, any correlation, with volume and performance? Like, are the campaigns that produce the most volume the campaigns that end up performing the best, or is that unrelated?
I think speaking of volume in ads, it comes about creating good creatives. And, if you realistically, I spoke to this guy last week, and we found a winning ad in his account, and he said like, I'm gonna make 100 creatives like this, and I said to him like, if you're gonna do 100 creatives, I guarantee, like he said like, oh, the next days I want to reproduce this creative 100 times, and I said like, don't do it, because realistically you're not gonna be able to have a high quality if you have 100 creatives. So volume means how many good creatives can you produce, and if you create only volume in terms of creatives, the chance that you're not gonna make good ones is there, So
I just want to play devil's advocate. So what do you not think that, for example, by doing volume, you inevitably end up with more good ones?
I feel like in the current state of, like, currently I do a bit more Meta, so I can speak better about Meta. On Meta ads, it's micro changes doesn't work so much anymore. Like just exchanging the hook copy itself, it does work, but let's say you test, I would prefer, rather than have 100 hook variations, I rather have 10 new creatives and then have one different persona targeted in each creative. But therefore, I need to write 10 completely different copies. I need to do 10 different ICPs. I need to go into different rabbit holes.
And for the people who don't know, this was a big update on the Meta side of things with Andromeda, which talk to me a bit more about that. So basically it meant that before you could do like one creative and you could kind of recreate it with small changes and it would still rip, and now you need different ones.
My friend Mika, he's a Ecom, very, very good Ecom guy. Shout out to him. He gave me the I met him like 8 years ago. It's a very crazy thing, and we reconnected recently, and it's nice to see it's a small world, Yeah, and he said to me like this example of if you have a headlamp, rather create like a headlamp can be used by someone repairing his car. It can be used by a runner at night, and it can be used by a dad playing with his kids. It's one product in different personas, right? And that's the big difference. You can sell the same product in different personas and reach new pots of audiences that are not yet converted. But you're not going to get there by having the running creative working, and now you create 100 more running creatives. I much rather have 10 different creatives with different personas in there, even if the running one is working, then 100 additional running creatives.
But then what happens when one of them works better than the others? What do you do?
I'm going to create
so
more.
So this is more for testing, right? Like
it's more for scaling, I would say. Like it's testing and scaling. This is the two most important parts, right? But like I say, if in micro exchange, of course, like it's gonna work if you have one winning creative and you create the 5 first seconds, like the hook. Let's say it's 5 seconds hook. if you exchange it, you're gonna find another winner probably. But when you want to scale to like high budgets, $10,000 a day ad spend, you need to have more than one audience. You're just not gonna get there if having one single audience rip, even if it's a broad audience. Even
Gotcha.
like I like to do like worldwide targeting without tier 3 countries, and there's like millions of people. However, the algorithm is gonna have a much easier time of working on this high scale if you have multiple pots of people that are directly spoken to. Let's say you have back pain, right? You can target to golfing people, and then you can say, are you not performing the way you want because like is your swing not hitting the right way because of the back pain? This is like a niche of golfing, and then it's a sub niche problem, right? And then you can test different sub niches, like is your dad not coming out with you anymore to golf because you have back pain? Now it's the son that is targeted in the niche of golfing. The other way was the dad.
That's crazy.
You know, so this is how you test multiple. If you have a winning ad, you can do sub niches within this audience, right? But rather than having 100 different angles of this back pain golfing, I rather test 10 different audiences. So it's back pain golfing, back pain horse riding,
Gotcha.
back pain school, and then these 10 is going to give me much more valuable data of new audiences I can open versus, you know.
Yeah, I understand. So, and I think this makes sense. So you're testing with widely different audiences, and the update also from Andromeda allows for that, or even prioritizes that. And then scaling. What happens, for example, when you find like two angles that are the best?
Yeah, so most of the time when you scale, the budget is going to go into like 2 or 3 creatives. If you have a lot, like I see it many times in different ad accounts that it's almost always the case that the big majority of the budget is going to go into 1 or 2 creatives, right? And then what happens is that you can scale these up, but you're going to hit a certain threshold when scaling it. When going like to 4 or 5 figures a day budget, you're going to hit this wall, and then what you're going to do, you need to then start testing new audiences and getting more creative, right? And you don't want to be in this case scenario, so you consistently should launch new audiences, new ICPs, like new customer avatars. Go ahead, because it's like rare that we have a product that is built for a specific niche. It's like the riches are in the niches. Yes, however, the products are so broad. I want to give you like a real world example. For example, KPI, I saw scaling in the beginning very hard for gym bro content. I don't know exactly which personas they have going on right now, but I remember seeing, for example, like I think this gym influencers posting a lot, and this is a very specific product. You know, it's calorie tracking for gym bros. This is the niche. BitePal came around the corner. You ever saw them? It's this raccoon avatar. And they are scaling very hard right now. The same product eventually, but in a different sub niche, which is girls. And they have like this very good UGC creator, this girl, and she's making content about weight loss of being a girl, and like the angle is very different. It's not eat enough protein to build muscle. It's eat what you want to eat without feeling guilty.
That's crazy.
So it's the same product, a different sub niche. Okay, this is more it's black and white. It's boys that want to like. I like to eat good protein to get big, you know. So if you show me a product, I probably would convert on that. Like I used this products in the past. A girl would not buy on this, even if it's the same product. She wants to eat good without feeling guilty. This is a very different thing.
Yeah, you kind of have different personas within the same product.
They did like this is black and white, boy and girl. What BitePal I saw is doing now. I saw on my TikTok feed a lot of ads from them of a 40-year-old man sitting in his car and saying like, I need to hide and track my calories because I'm 40 years old using this raccoon, this AI thing. You know, this is a very different sub niche. So they have, like I say, I'm not sure what KPI is doing now, but I saw like the gym bro approach a lot on my feed, and then now I see BitePal on my feed running ads for girls and for 40 years old. So they have the same product, but they are scaling in different markets. And eventually it would be the best for the owner of a calorie tracker if he would capture all of these markets, right?
Gotcha.
Because your competitor can come in and just steal your audience that you didn't even know you could target. That's why I say I rather test 10 creatives than 100, but the 10 being in different audiences to prevent my audience being taken away from me, because you can scale, like they scale super far in their niche, like KPI, but now BytePal is taking a little bit. I don't know the numbers.
And
how
is
they're
that
doing
how
that.
you scale? For example, obviously this is like meta targeted and focused. But say you want to get to a place where you're spending $5,000-$10,000 a day profitably. How do you get
Yeah.
there? What do you do?
Um,
Obviously, like imagine you're doing Spark, you're doing.
you need to have a variety of creatives most of the time. Like realistic, I saw accounts that just have one very clear persona and one angle, and they're scaling that way. But it's better probably if you have multiple personas coming in. I can say to everybody that wants to get to this higher spend volume, go on your competitor's ad account and don't just swipe the creatives, don't just rip them one by one, but rather get a big understanding, and you can do this very easily by just looking at the ads, what personas are they targeting, and you're going to notice that most of the time when there's a big app, they have this 3-4 personas. Let's say it's a calorie tracking app, they're going to have gym bros, girls,
Gotcha.
and 40 years old guys. The gym bro wants protein, rice, chicken, muscles. The girl wants burger without feeling guilty, and the father, the 40 years old, wants to just know what he's doing, and he's new to AI, and this is very different personas. And then when you want to scale in the direction where they are, figure out what personas they are using. And you can try them, of course, I would recommend, but also figure out which personas are they not yet using and try to open this market, because then you have less saturated audience that probably will convert. And if you keep doing that, you just need to produce good creatives. I don't know what the KPI should be. Maybe I was at App Growth Summit, and there, I don't know which app it was, but...
Which one? The Berlin one?
Yeah, I was in Berlin.
Nice.
I sneaked in there a little bit, but it's another story.
Good.
One of these big apps said their KPI was, I think, 30 new creatives a week. And I think this was interesting because I was expecting a way higher number, right? But they were scaling. They were like 8-9 figure brand, and they said, okay, like if they are doing that volume, I don't need to have 500 creatives a week, because realistically, you're not going to have the quality.
One thing this is being very interesting to me is when I first started in the space, doing organic, obviously doing something very different than you, we were one of the first people to say, hey, volume is very important, but we need to do persona and deep persona work before jumping in.
Yeah.
For that's the only way you can be comfortable and confident when hitting plateaus, because you have so much more and that you can scale in different ways, in different kind of directions. And volume is important, but it's not the only metric. Like you need more. You need the kind of need so much more. So I was very surprised to hear you say this today, because I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting you to go much more on a volume kind of tangent. And by the way, just so people know, like I think when we talk about low volume, it's not like low volume, like like one post a day or one creative a week. It's like
it's like 30.
Yeah, exactly. So low volume is already fairly high volume for people who aren't doing it. And I have a few more selfish questions, Mark,
of course,
if you don't mind. One is, and obviously this is just coming from a place of the most repeated questions I hear, and kind of trying to address those to help as many people as we can that listen to this. So one of them is, let's say you're talking to a founder that is doing only organic.
Yeah.
Why or why not would it be important for him to test paid ads as a channel?
I feel like the uncertain data is harming you, What do you gain from not having data if a channel would work or not? Like realistically, what do you get from not having the data if it could work or it couldn't work? You have nothing. What would you, like, how long would it take? A few days. Do you have the creatives? Yes, I have them.
Yeah. So I think this for funded startups, for obviously profitable bootstrapped companies, for enterprise people, this is a very important thing to understand. It's like, hey, there is actually no reason, from what you're saying, to not test the paid ads channel if you're already doing organic.
Yeah.
But just again, playing devil's advocate, what if you have very low budget, like you have almost no money to spend?
I mean, if you don't have a budget for ads, I would say to you, just double down on what is working currently.
No, I'm saying you might, but it's like your last bit of budget. And my question is, in that case, what do you think is more risky? Is it to invest those 200, 500, $1,000 in testing a bunch of creatives? Because we're going from the assumption that this person already has organic going.
Yeah.
What is harming them the most? Not spending that? Like the risk of not knowing, or the actual risk of
I think
spending the
realistically,
money?
this is maybe going to sound a bit weird, but realistically, if you just have $200 for ads a month and you really want to grow your product, you should get a job and try to fund yourself. This is what I did. I can say this. I worked in a supermarket and I spent my money working in a supermarket on ads. And if you realistically have $200 and you really want to grow your product, you figure out a way how to make money and invest it.
I love it, but because this is honest advice. And then the other thing is also, do you think people jump in with different initiatives, ads, organic, whatever it is? I have my own thought on it, but do you think people have like a mistake? Rather, what do you think the mistake is? Is it that people jump in with too little budget, or that people jump in with like what do you think?
I think you can have both. Like if your ads don't work, stop throwing money at them and improve the funnel and creative. You know, you shouldn't spend big money if you're losing it. I don't see the value of growth when it's not profitable. Like if you are funded and you really want to get thousands of users to evaluate your in-app funnel to see how the conversion is breaking, and you want to see which onboarding thing, that's a different approach. But if you are like bootstrapped and you want to get you want to run ads and you are not profitable after a few €100, just go really in there and then try to get better copywriting, get better at directing, editing, market research, optimize your paywall, optimize your funnel, and don't spend too much on burning it. It doesn't make sense. I saw apps like you wouldn't imagine. Like I saw budgets being burnt on a crazy scale when I was going into ad accounts, and I look at past data to get an understanding of what previously have worked or what didn't work to plan my first move. If there is an ad account that has money and they ask me for help, I go in there and I look at it. And sometimes I see money being burned on such a high scale, and I don't understand,
I guess, like, again, just like imagine this person already has organic going out.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, if you don't have enough budget, wait until you do to test properly. But what is enough budget?
I mean, if you have really low budget, I think it still is going to make sense if you have organic going on to even invest $200 or €1 into your account and look what the data says. Because if it's horrible,
that's also data to improve on the organic.
There's also a different conversation that we need to have. It's a bit complex when you really have low budget and you just at ground zero, because tracking also is a pain, setting up the correct tracking. I work with a guy called Yuri. He is like very good at attribution. I'm not super cracked at that. I want to give him a shout out because he's helped me a lot. His website is monetizethat.app, and he's very good at tracking and everything.
Nice.
And if you set up tracking initially, you need some purchases coming in, so the whole system is starting to work. So this is a problem that I see a lot of bootstrap people doing, is they set up tracking and they launch, and after one day they see 0 conversions and they burn $200 and they turn off the ads, and then they never touch it again because they think they burnt money. However, the data comes in with a delay. There is a delay, and especially when initially launching for the very first time, you're gonna need to there's a handshake happening between like Apple and Meta or Apple and TikTok, and this handshake needs to happen a few times of the data being transferred, so it's gonna be visual in the dashboard. So often, like bootstrap founder launch ads, they think they set up tracking actually correctly, and they think it's wrong just because the data is not there after a day or two. It's just gonna take a few days for this warm up period, and this until TikTok says, okay, the data that you show me here is valid, so now I'm going to present it to you in our dashboard. They just don't want to show false data, so there's a validate period.
So this is great. So this gives a bit of an understanding of what that looks like. On the other hand, I want to ask you, if you're a founder doing paid and you're already doing paid profitably, let's say, what's the value of doing organic, if any?
For sure there's organic, because for sure there is value because you can make get more growth, get more money in doing organic. you don't really. I think it's the same if you are profitable on ads and you're not doing organic, or if you're profitable on organic and you're not doing ads, you don't really gain a lot of not trying. At least if you don't want to lose focus and you're super successful on organic, maybe keep pushing there. But if you have bandwidth of experimenting and you have an infrastructure that is systemized and you can afford of spending 30% of your energy into a new test, do it. Like, what would you?
I
lose?
agree. So you think they go like hand in hand?
Yeah, they are cousins, they are brothers. They are like
But why though? What is one affecting the other?
Because if you have like it's not going to make or break the success of the other realistically, but if you have a video that has 500,000 likes and 50,000 positive comments, you can imagine that the social proof is going to increase the performance. If the video is not, I had creatives that had this and they were not working, it's not going to make or break the success of the creative. Like, just because there's a lot of comments and likes doesn't mean that it's going to work if it's a bad video for paid. But if it's a video that could work on paid and you have a giant amount of social proof of people saying that's a good idea, I want this,
it's a good indication.
It's gonna, and it's also gonna increase the performance, because just the
social proof alone.
The social proof alone, like when I doom scroll and I see a video with 10 likes, I normally skip it. Like, it's rare that I look at it just because I don't think my time is worth looking at this. And again, like, if it's actually a good hook and it's visually appealing video, I'm still gonna watch it if it has 10 likes. But most of the time, you're a bit more skeptical, and this social proof is just gonna help get the performance going. But it's not a day and night difference, realistically.
Yeah, I agree. I think they go hand in hand, and I think it's as far as performance goes, you always have to test. There's no like strict answer.
Yeah.
But I am yet to see cases where complementing either organic with paid or paid with organic does not result in better performance.
100%. It is true. Like, the best creatives, the creative I scaled the most was a video that went viral organically first.
How much you scaled?
I don't remember the exact number.
I think you posted some stuff. I was like, bro.
I don't remember the exact number, but over 100 million views.
That's insane.
Man, there is creatives that you can find in the ad library. They have hundreds of millions of views. And imagine now you have a creative that is going viral and you make 5 million views. You can 10x the reach by running it on ads, and probably will also 10x the revenue. Like,
yeah.
There's one of the biggest ones is from what was the app before KPI? MyFitnessPal.
MyFitnessPal. I remember. There's I don't even know how much, but it's way over 100 million views.
Yeah,
no?
I think I saw like a video with like, I don't remember, 300 million views from them. There's this Chinese app that they scaled in December like crazy. It's a video editing app. I forgot the name. It's like Kapi or something like that. And they had multiple videos with over 100 million views that they launched in December and scaled in December to over 100 million views. Multiple of them. So that's crazy. And it was US targeting. You can see in the ad, you can go in the ad library. That's also, if you want to do market research, very good. There's two, it's like a little insight. There are two ad libraries. One that you enter for TikTok from the normal browser, and then there's one that you enter from the ad library. So you go on the TikTok ad library into, I think it's Acid, and then Inspiration or something like this, and then you can click on see more, and then there's a different ad library than the one that you would enter from the browser, and there you can see like very clearly the views that they have, and then you can go and launch last 30 days United States apps, and you're going to have a bunch of amazing content where you can immediately see the views, 100 million views, 50 million views. And I think it's important to look at them, not only like to know what is going on in the space, but also to remind yourself how far you can go. I love to see these videos with 500 million views on ads, because it just reminds me that it's possible. There are apps out there that are spending like $100,000 a day on ads. So if you're spending $1,000 and you think, can I really scale to $5,000? There's someone else spending $100,000 a day.
Like, I met someone who has a day job, very hard working in their day job.
Yeah.
And they do apps kind of for fun. This guy is spending 7,000 a day on ads.
Why he has a day job?
That's still to be figured out. But I think it's like it's just insane. Like, there's people out there that are doing something different, and I think it's there's a lot to be said about this pairing channels that are similar to each other. Fundamentally, ads, organic, what you're doing is you're competing for attention. On one, you're bidding. On the other one, you're competing just on the For You page. And fundamentally, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So like, obviously there's nuance and there's all this, but if they're so similar, why wouldn't you find a way to make them work together?
Yeah,
this is my
100%.
premise,
Yeah,
my thesis.
I agree because the hardest part is to make a good creative, right?
Exactly.
It's not hard to post it on TikTok, and neither is it hard to upload it into the ads manager. The hardest work is getting the creative right, and if you get the creative right, you might as well do both.
I think a lot of people also get stuck in the tactical side of, oh, but I don't know how to run ads, and I don't know how to do my campaign setup. And what would you say?
I feel like it's it's like going to the gym a bit. You can go to the gym for one day, and like a trainer can show you in one day how to do it correctly. You just need to do it over and over again to get actually good at it. But the biggest difference is not going to be to be good at it or not. It's going to be to repetitively show up. If you keep showing up, if you keep trying to run ads, you're going to eventually hit it. You're going to get big if you go to the gym. Even if you make the exercise wrong, your muscle is going to grow. Maybe you're going to hurt yourself because you did something wrong. Maybe you're going to lose money because you're not going to tear your muscle, but you're going to burn money. But this is going to be painful, and the pain is going to be a valuable lesson eventually, right?
Yeah.
That's why I said it took me 14 months to get this right. So everybody can do it. It's not magic to run ads. You just need to have good creative and then do it there. It's so simple. There's a lot of videos that you can see on how to set up a campaign structure. Like anybody that can develop an app is probably smarter than the average media buyer because the process is a bit harder. So don't make rocket science out of it.
Yeah, Mark, I wanted to say, just to finalize, I want to say thank you. It's been great to talk to you. I think from last time we talked, I said, at least, from both of our sides, I think there's so much that has happened on organic, on paid, on the algorithm, everywhere. But I appreciate you speaking to me and coming here today. I think it's been great. It's been insightful. I want to give you the chance. Is there anything you'd want to say to finalize? Any message you'd like to leave? Anything you'd like to promote? You feel free.
Okay.
Use the space as an ad space.
Okay. The sponsor of the video. Follow me on Twitter, Mugo Scales. If you have some questions, I'm down to help for free. Everybody that is starting, just send me a DM. I answer everything. And if you want to really scale, hit me up. I would love to, just be a consultant on some big projects. I tweeted I would like to, my big goal, like my dream would be to be included in a campaign that makes $1 million in 30 days. That would be like really cool. So if you have budget and you want to scale and you need some consulting, hit me up. I'm focusing I'm like a boutique, very boutique now. So I have 2 campaigns that I'm working on and I want to focus on them. However, if you have budgets, let me know. I'm down.
Yeah, nice. And we'll leave your socials below as well.
Thank you.
So Mark, appreciate you, bro.
Of course, man. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Always, man. Okay.
Take care.
Nice.